Good morning. How's it going?
Pretty good.
I feel like we're missing a lot of people. What's happening?
Give it more time.
We only have a few days left.
Thursday, wasn't there like 9 people that came in?
Yeah, late for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. Yesenia, Tashay, Malachi. Good morning. Good morning. How are you guys doing? Does everybody have a good weekend? Okay, if you were desperately waiting for me to grade your test, I did not yet, right? I have not graded all of them, but I'm going to try to crank those out this afternoon and this evening. So then you know exactly where you stand for your final project. You can play the what if game right now with your grade, right? You can put in potential grades for the last few assignments and see what you have to get in order to get the grade you want. Just looking at the grades on the test, you know, some people did really well. We had some, you know, several A's, so that's good. And I haven't looked at the written work yet. I just had to review all the videos. So, but overall, not too bad. We had some good scores. How did you feel? Were you glad you had 75 minutes on that test? Yeah, Yesenia says, yeah. There were no surprises on the test, right? It was exactly what you were expecting. So that's kind of nice, right? All right, any questions for me before we start talking about dimensional analysis, proportional reasoning, that kind of thing? Any questions on the final project or what we're doing this week or anything? All right, so today we're going to start talking about like dimensional analysis, which some of you may use for your final project. So this would be helpful. It's also just nice for something to know how to do. And when I'm talking dimensional analysis, I'm talking about measurement. And so measuring in the US system, which would be, you know, feet, inches, yards, things like that, or pounds and ounces, things like that. And then in the metric system, which some of you might be more familiar with the metric system than the US system. And then we'll just be doing some exercises with that, make sure we understand. Then we're doing a fun activity tomorrow in class called Nana's Chocolate Milk. So that I think you'll like. And then Wednesday, we start presentations. So the car project, let's talk about the car project because I think on Canvas it said it was due last night, but on my updates and announcements, it said May 10th. So I opened it back up till tonight, just in case. And I highly recommend you go back and review what you submitted and make sure you looked at the rubric and make sure you showed me all your work and all of those kind of things, because some people might not have followed the directions. Like if you used a loan payment calculator online instead of doing your calculations on either the TBM or the formula, you're going to have a big problem. So, and if you didn't submit at all yet, well, now's your chance, right? You can submit before tonight because that's worth 40 points. So that's quite a bit towards your project. It also goes in the same category as tests. So it's nice if you didn't do as well as you wanted to on that test. If you do perfect on this, it's 100% on like a quiz. So that's really nice. All right. So what I want to do first is I have a 5-minute mindfulness Monday, and it's about presentations. And I thought it would be a good one to do today. So then if you're one of those people who gets nervous when you present, then you could use this before you log into class on either Wednesday or Monday when you present, and do this first. All right, so let's try that. If I can remember where it is on here. There we go. All right.
Welcome to this 5-minute pre-presentation meditation. To start, find a comfortable chair. Place your body to the edge of the chair and place your feet flat on the floor. Place your hands gently in your lap. We're going to start with some controlled breathing. Take an inhale through your nose slowly, and then on the exhale, very gently release the air from your mouth. Try to make your exhale longer than your inhale. You want that breathing to happen low and slow in your body. So if it helps, you can place a hand on your abdomen. As you inhale through your nose, feel your abdomen slowly expanding. On the exhale, feel it slowly contracting. As thoughts come in about work, about the day, about your presentation, try to imagine those thoughts passing by you like clouds in the sky. Maintain your focus only on your breathing. On your inhale, you can silently tell yourself in. On the exhale, silently tell yourself out, to maintain your focus only on your breath. Take one more inhale through your nose, and one more slow, long exhale from your mouth. And now let's turn the attention to the muscles in your body. We're going to slowly scan from head to toe, looking for any areas of stress or tension. When you find those areas, you can either breathe into them to relax the muscles, or stretch them out in a way that feels comfortable for you. Starting with your face, notice your brow. Is your brow furrowed? Are you frowning? If so, release those muscles. Pay close attention to your jaw. Make sure you're not clenching or grinding your teeth. Release every muscle in your face, including your ears. Allow them to drop just a millimeter. And now turn your attention to your neck. If you feel tension there, you can slowly drop your chin to your chest and feel the stretch in the back. Or slowly move your neck from side to side. Now pay attention to your shoulders. If you feel them creeping up, make sure you drop them. Allow them to feel heavy. And then turn your attention to your arms. They should also feel heavy and relaxed. Make sure you're not clenching your fists. Place your hands gently in your lap with zero tension. Stay mindful of your breathing by taking a sip of air in through your nose and then slowly exhaling through your mouth. Then turn your attention to the lower half of your body. Imagine your sit bones and thighs are melting into the chair. Relax your calves and your shins. Roll your ankles to release any stress that might be there. Wiggle your toes inside your shoes, and then let them be still again. Imagine your feet are melting into the floor. Once your muscles feel relaxed, turn your attention to a positive visualization. Wherever your public speaking environment will take place, see yourself in that spot, either on the stage, sitting in a chair around a conference table, or looking into the camera in front of your computer. Don't think of the words that you're going to say or the content. Simply picture yourself in your environment being confident, energetic, and connecting with your audience. See yourself pausing. See yourself using gestures that command your space. See yourself making eye contact with individuals in your audience. Take one more sip in through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. And gently open your eyes. We hope you have enjoyed this relaxation exercise. Please use this before your next high-stakes presentation.
All right. So hopefully you could see why I would choose that for our Mindfulness Monday today, because it is, you do have a final presentation either Wednesday or Monday, and it's worth 20% of your grade. So it's really important that you don't get inside your head too much and be nervous when you present. I know you'll be a little nervous because everybody is, but if that helps you, you know, kind of bring yourself back to the moment and just say, it's really just this presentation and I'm prepared and I'm going to do fine. So you will be more nervous the less prepared you are. So if you spend time doing your presentation, practicing your presentation, having someone else look through your presentation at your mathematics to see if you have any errors, and practice your presentation out loud for another person. And that makes a big difference. Okay. The first time you do a presentation is never perfect. It's that second or third or 10th time that you practice it. Okay. Any questions for me about the presentation or anything we have left? All right, some of you have your cameras off, so turn those on so I know that you're here and participating, because I've sent private messages to some of you and have gotten no response. Okay. So today we are going to be talking about dimensional analysis and proportional reasoning. And you might be like, that's a fancy word. Don't really know what we're talking about. It's okay because it's not really that fancy. It's just different wording probably than you're used to. And let me get to the right class notebook. All right. So let's talk about our US system of measurement. Okay, this is the way we normally measure things here in the United States. Can anyone tell me the units that we use when we're measuring length? So or when you're measuring like how long a desk is or how tall you are, anything like that, what units do we use?
Feet.
Feet, okay. What else might we use?
Could it be miles?
Miles. What else? What if it was something really small?
Inches.
Inches. Very nice. Okay. So, and you might know a relationship between these. Like, does anyone know how many inches are in a foot?
12.
Yeah, there's 12 inches in a foot. Now, there's a measurement in between feet and miles. Does anyone know what it is?
Yard.
Yeah, yards. Does anyone know how many feet are in a yard?
3.
Yeah, there's 3 feet in 1 yard. So there's 12 inches in 1 foot, 3 feet in 1 yard. Does anyone know how many feet there are in 1 mile? Anyone know that number? That's a one that is probably less common, but some students learned it in elementary school. There's 5,280 feet in a mile. Does that number seem familiar to anyone? Yeah, like maybe you've heard it before. The only people who I usually encounter that know that number are people who their teacher just made them memorize it over and over and over again, or they're from Denver, Colorado. Can anyone think of why they would know that number if they're from Denver, Colorado?
It's like the Mile High City or something, right?
Yeah, it's the Mile High City. You're absolutely correct. And there, if you've ever been to Denver, in the downtown area of Denver, there's like restaurants or bars called the 5280. So that's why people might know that if they're from Denver, Colorado. Okay, so those are our measurements for length. So mass is another way of saying weight, right? We measure our weight here on Earth. We call it mass in science because we don't weigh the same on the moon or in outer space or in other planets that we weigh here on Earth, but our mass doesn't change, right? So that's why it's the scientific word for weight is called mass. What do we measure mass in or weight in the US system?
Pounds and ounces.
Yeah, pounds, which we use the abbreviation LBS, and be careful if you write it like with just not a cursive L, because sometimes you'll think it's a 1 and then you'll get the answer wrong. Happens all the time. Pounds and ounces, and these types of ounces are different than fluid ounces, right? Fluid ounces are different because they're measuring capacity or volume. They're not measuring mass or weight, okay? So ounces, and then how about if something's crazy heavy? What do we what are our units of measure?
Tons.
Yeah, tons. What would we measure in tons? Anyone know?
Gallons.
Gallons would be down here for capacity because that's measuring volume or liquid. So that's down in capacity. What would we measure in tons? Something really, really heavy.
Aren't cars measured in tons?
Absolutely. Cars can be measured in tons, trucks, vehicles of any kind, and they do that in some states. You know how we have our vehicle registration here? And our vehicle registration is based on the value of the car. That's how it is based in Arizona. But in other states like Ohio or back east, sometimes it's your car registration is based on the weight of your vehicle. And the reasoning behind that is because the heavier your vehicle is, the more damage it will do to the roads, right? So they want you paying more so you help maintain the roads. So the other thing that's often measured in tons is elephants, right? Or very large animals. because if we have to transport them, right, we would need to know how much they weigh. Okay, so in that, does anyone know how many ounces are in 1 pound? Without looking it up, don't bother looking it up. Just tell me if you know it. How many ounces are in a pound?
16.
Yeah, there's 16. 16 ounces in 1 pound. And usually the people who know that are people who buy a lot in like bulk, or if you buy a lot of produce, have you ever used the scale in the grocery store, right, to weigh things? Then that you can see when it goes up to 1 pound. Or if you buy like bulk things, you know, from any of those big bins, if you're buying beans or things like that, you might know that there's 16 ounces in a pound. The other people who know are people who recently had a baby, right? And the reason they know that is because they tell you the weight of your baby in pounds and ounces. And so if your baby weighed 7 pounds, 2 ounces, a lot of times you know, oh, that's just over, right? 7 pounds, because 6 pounds, 16 ounces would be 7 pounds. All right. How about, does anyone know how many pounds are in 1 ton? Anyone know that?
2,000.
2,000. Very nice. There's 2,000 pounds in 1 ton. So a ton is very heavy, right? Okay. Last one, capacity or volume. We can use gallons. We talked a little bit. We could use fluid ounces, right? Those are different than our mass ounces. So we could use fluid ounces. What else could we measure volume in?
Could we use a measuring cup, like when we're cooking?
You could, and that, so cups are a measure. Absolutely. Good job, Valerie. What else? Anyone have a pitcher, like a water pitcher or anything in their house, and how much that holds?
A pint.
Yeah, so there's pints. How about quarts? You've heard those words before? They seem vaguely familiar to you? Yeah? Okay, so now here's the hard question. Does anyone know the relationship between these? Like, do you know how many ounces, and I'll say fluid ounces, are in 1 cup? How many cups are in 1 pint? How many pints are in 1 quart? And how many quarts are in 1 gallon? Anyone know any of those things? I love how some of you are like, nope, doesn't seem familiar at all. Like, I don't know. There's probably numbers that I'm supposed to know. You're not alone, let me tell you. And the reason is because in the US system, these are not easy numbers to remember, right? And we don't use them very often, but we are familiar with them. In the metric system, our measurements are a lot easier, but we don't use the metric system very much either. So if you grew up in the US, you probably don't know either system very well unless you use them for something. Like somebody who bakes a lot might know them. Somebody who sews a lot might know some of them, right? So in length. So it's very interesting how we are unfamiliar with it. So let's see. Does this sound familiar? There's 8 ounces in 1 cup. Olivia's like, nope. Sounds silly. There's 8 fluid ounces in 1 cup. Okay, so have you ever had to like take a blood test or anything and they tell you to drink a certain number of ounces of water? Yeah, so 8 ounces is not very much, right? In a regular size cup, it's not very much. Most of us, let me see, let's see how much this is right here. It's really dark right here. See if I can look at my, okay, so this, I have a tiny little Sunny D bottle. This is 6.75 ounces. So it's almost 8 ounces. 8 ounces is not very much liquid. Okay. So when they tell you to drink a lot, don't drink too much because you'll be very miserable, right? All the time. Okay. Does anyone know how many cups are in a pint? I suspect you don't know any of these. So let me show you something else you can do. Did anyone ever learn this? The big G. Does this seem familiar? Yeah, or gallon man. Yeah, Malachi's like, yeah, this is bringing back some memories. If you ever saw Gallon Man or you heard a story like this, you put 4 Q's inside here, and then you put 2 P's inside each Q, and then you put 2 C's inside each P. And some people even learned a little story about it, that you're in the kingdom of Gallon. And in the king, I'm not being funny. I'm telling you, like what people have told me. You're in the kingdom of Gallon, and there's 4 queens, which means there's 4 quarts in 1 gallon. Okay, that's what the Q's stand for. 4 quarts in 1 gallon. And then each queen had 2 princesses. So there's 2 P's inside each Q, which means there's 2 pints in each quart. Okay. And then here's where it deviates a little bit. Some people's story was each princess had 2 children, and other people were each princess had 2 cats. I don't care. It's still a C, right? So there's 2 cups in a pint. So there's 2 cups in 1 pint, 2 pints in 1 quart, and 4 quarts in 1 gallon. Might be a stupid way to remember it, but at least if you can draw the picture, it's much easier. So if we were taking a test on this, you would have to know that. Is anyone going into nursing in this class? If anyone's going into nursing, you need to know these measurements. Okay, so Gallon Man, because you have to take the HESI, right? The HESI exam. So Gallon Man is a nice way to remember this easily. Okay, you have to practice it, but after you do it probably twice, you'll remember it. Okay, I don't care if you like the story or not, at least if you can draw the picture, right? Okay. Now, what we're talking about is converting between these units. Okay, so, and one method is called the factor label method, which I think is very nice. It's not too hard, and it's very consistent, whether you do the US system or the metric system. So, for example, if we're measuring the height of a person, we'd probably measure them in feet and inches. So if a person is 5 feet, 10 inches, we want to know how many inches that is. And there's one way you can do it. We don't have to worry about the 10 inches because that's already inches. But we do have to worry about this feet. So the factor label method would say if I take 5 feet and put it over 1, and then I multiply it by a relationship I know, which is there's 12 inches in 1 foot, then these units simplify and I end up with only inches. So then I just multiply 5 times 12 and I get 60 inches. I already had 10 inches. So the total is 70 inches. Okay. So I'm going to give you a worksheet right now. I'm actually going to give you 2. The first one I'm going to give you is just conversions. So you could have this as a reference, especially if you're going to take the HESI exam, because you'll need something to reference when you're practicing. So there's that document. It just has all the measurements on it. Okay. So it has the US system, the metric system, and then it has between the US system and the metric system. So, and we won't do much of that, but you might need that, especially if you're using this for your final presentation. The other worksheet I want to give you is, That's an interesting thing. Is one that has some sample problems, and that's what we're going to start on right now. So I just did this first one for you. The first one on your worksheet that I just gave you is if a person is 74 inches, how tall are they in feet and inches? Okay, so think about that. See if you can try that first one. Get your answer ready in the chat on this one. How many feet and how many inches is 74 inches? All right, do you have an answer? Let's put it in the chat in 3, 2, 1, go. Nice. 6 feet 2 inches. So this isn't unfamiliar to you. You know how to do some of this. It's just been a long time probably since anyone asked you to do it. So now let's talk briefly about the metric system before we do any of those other ones. In the metric system, hold on. So in the metric system, unlike the US system, the conversions are much easier because they're based on powers of 10, just like our number system is. So the prefixes in the metric system are kilo, hecto, deca, then the base unit, deci, centi, milli. Did anyone learn some weird thing for the metric system? And again, it's about a king. Does it seem familiar to anyone? King Henry, does this seem familiar? King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. Have you ever heard of that saying? That's not a fact, by the way. That's not a historical fact. That's just a way to remember these prefixes. So King Henry died. The base unit is for B, drinking chocolate milk. So if you notice, if you have the base unit and you go 1 to the left, that's 10 times larger, then 100 times larger, then 1,000 times larger. If you go to the right, it's 10 times smaller, 100 times smaller, 1,000 times smaller. Here's what's nice about the metric system. Our base units for linear measure, like inches, feet, and so on, are meters. So then we can have kilometers, I'm sure you've heard of, or centimeters, which are also on a ruler, or millimeters, okay? And then, but in math, or for measuring weight, we use grams, but we still use those same prefixes. So kilogram, milligram, yeah? And then liters is what we use for volume or capacity. So we can have a kiloliter or a milliliter. I'm sure you've seen milliliters on anything, like if you have a water bottle near you. So when we convert in the metric system, we can use the same strategy. So for example, 9 meters to centimeters. Well, we can go 9 meters over 1 times. We know that since centimeters are here and meters are here, there's 100 centimeters in 1 meter because they're 2 spots away, which are 2 powers of 10. 10 times 10 is 100. So in 1 meter, there are 100 centimeters. It's still the factor label method. We're still crossing those out. And so we get 900 centimeters. Now, in the metric system, probably some of you learned to go like this. So 2,000 millimeters to meters. Some of you learned to go like this. Am I right? How many of you learned that with the metric system? Moving your decimal point? It's fine if you know how to do it. If you don't, stick with the factor label method, which is 2,000 millimeters over 1 times. Since milli is 3 away from meters, then I know there are 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter. So I end up dividing by 1,000. So 2,000 millimeters is 2 meters. Okay. All right. I'm going to put you in your breakout rooms right now so you can work on all these problems on this worksheet. Do as many as you can, and then I'm going to come visit you in your breakout rooms and check in on your final project, your car project, and any questions you have, okay? So let me get you in these breakout rooms. All right, and I'll be in to visit you. So you could see how I did the work, right? So you could see like why did it go away? That was weird. Can you see my screen stuff? Why did it change screen? I did not touch it. I promise. Okay, it's okay. There we go. This is where we were, right? Okay, so 5 yards, and there's 3 feet in a yard. So I just wanted to show you this part. This is why you put yards up here and yards down here. So the yards go away and you end up with just feet. That's a nice way to kind of keep track of how the factor label method works. So 15 feet is your answer to that one. Then I just had some slides in case you want to review them. For the next one, did you get 64 ounces in 4 pounds? Yeah, everybody okay with that? All right. And then the number of gallons in 48 cups. Did you get 3 gallons? Excellent. So do you remember doing these conversions a long time ago? Like 4th grade, 5th grade? Yeah, it's just been a long time since you've done them. So you're like, yeah, whoever needs this? But if you've ever cooked in a kitchen, you've probably used it. If you're ever doing anything with business, you've used it because you need to convert things all the time. A lot of businesses have gone under, believe it or not, especially with our world economy, because they fail to convert correctly the money from a different currency to our own currency. If you mistake a decimal point, you're going to have a big problem, right? So be careful on that. Then we did the metric system. And the metric system, these were your next 3, right? So you got 0.4, 0.00865, and then 32,400 for your metric one. Yeah. How many of you got further than that? You got all the way to the temperature one. So did you get those for answers? if you got to the temperature ones. How many of you got to the temperature ones? Amanda? Okay, a few of you did. Good. So it's kind of nice if somebody says 37 degrees Celsius to you, you might go, I have no reference to that. I don't know what that means, right? Like, I don't know how hot that is. Well, that's 98.6. What's that number from? 98.6. Anyone know? That's average temperature of a human, right? That's a normal temperature for a human. So keep that in mind, 98.6. If you know that, that's 37 degrees Celsius. Okay, then that might be a reference point for you. Okay, then you had, these are not the answers to the next part. Did anyone get through the other question? Yeah, Angelina did. Let me see. I do have a key to those. These are not these problems. I don't know why. I must have changed which problems I wanted to do. So, but I do have a key to those problems. So for number one, did you get 9 point, wait, let me see, in feet, 9.17 feet? Angelina, that was the answer to number one. The length, is that the problem you have? Hold on, let me look. Yeah, the length of one desk is 22 inches. If you line up 5 desks, what's the total length in feet? So it's 110 inches, which is 9.17 feet. Yeah, I'm going to share this key with you too. So if you want to check it later, or if you need it for your project because you're looking at conversions, you want to make sure you're doing it right, I'll put that in the chat. Okay, so that's the key to just these last however many problems. What were there, 7? Yeah. So if you want to check your work, you can check it right there. Like the answer to the last problem was 9 hours and 29 minutes. Yeah. Okay, so let's focus on what you have left because it's not very much, right? I'm grading your finance test, right? So that'll be on me. Your vehicle project is due tonight. Most of you already turned it in. Feel free to take a look at what you turned in and make sure you calculated your payment on your own and you showed me your work. Even if they calculated a payment for you, it might not always match. Then we'll do Nana's chocolate milk in class tomorrow. So you don't have to worry about it. That's what we're doing in class. Okay. And then work on that final presentation. Notice it says it's due Wednesday. A lot of you are like, wait, I'm not presenting till Monday. Yeah, you should still have it done. You can still work on it after you turn it in. If you share your URL, it'll be the most current version always for me. So you can either share the file as an attachment or the URL. But either way, it should be turned in by Wednesday night. If you make changes after Wednesday night, that's fine. Okay. Okay. Any questions for me? I'm going to put the exit ticket in the chat. Any questions for me? You good? All right. There's the exit ticket. Good job. Have a great Monday. Oh, I'll post these slides. So don't forget, because you can use that Mindfulness Monday meditation if you want to help you. Okay. Otherwise, have a great day. Nice job, Angelina.